Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Dealer, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 15. So, more placement matches. My opponent here has, looks like one tank? No, sorry, two tanks, and then 1, 2, 3, technically 4 healers. Or sorry, actually, 5 healers if you count Lycoris. Speaking of, hey, Lycoris, haven't seen you in a while. We see Marielle here. We see D-Hart. So they have some guard bypassing. Actually, they have a decent number. They have a few assassins and Marielle. And Sherry, of course. Not many actual tank busters. And then some AoE or potential AoE. So a little bit of everything. So my favorite type of box. So they get rid of my Awakened. I get rid of their Hilda. I did not, with an assassin box, I really do not want to deal with the crit negation. So got rid of that, grab Christiane. They banned 2 of my healers, so I have to pick a healer. So my choices were either Rosen Seal or Sissy White, so you probably can guess which one I pick. They grab Christiane for their tank, which for me is not a big deal since most of my stuff is not magic. So get rid of Epsilon, get rid of Sherry. Because I need to get rid of the guard bypass. Oh, actually I do take Rosen Seal. Neat. They get rid of my Sherry, get rid of Sword and Light Shadow. They take D-Hart. I was actually kind of surprised they picked D-Hart so soon. So, SP of course. Get rid of Marielle, get rid of Kyra. And go ahead and grab Grid Shield. I do now have Empire and Strategic faction buffs available now. I think the only Empire buff, Empire character I have besides Christiane is Sylvaria, I think, though. But they ban my Sylvaria and ban my Kyra as well, and they grab their Sissy White. So I was like, alright. So at this point, I still have Assassins to pick from if I want to. I get rid of Rosen Seal because I didn't want to deal with that nonsense. Get rid of Lucretia, mainly because of AoE, long range, and self-resing. I grab Karika. Haven't used her in a bit. They ban my remaining assassins, so I have the choice of either take another tank or another healer, so I have Sissy White available. They grab Tensei Jessica. And I go ahead and ban the remaining healers because I didn't want to give them Act-Agains. Or any more Act-Agains, rather. And I was actually completely okay with Lucretia because I have Rosen Seal, and I'm actually pretty okay with Ironblood Commander because even though she hits pretty hard, it's mostly magic, and her fancy soldier healing debuff can't be applied with since I have Rosen Seal. So I grab Sissy White, and they grab Ironblood Commander, so I was pretty good to go here. Nothing new with Rosen Seal, just heals and Shrine Maidens. Standard kit Christiane, I went with Angels, since my opponent's majority magic. Yeah, in fact, the only physical damage here besides Christiane is D-Hart himself. His troops are actually magic. Grinshield here, nothing new with War Falcons. Sissy White, I did go ahead and stick with Inspire just for some additional mobility. And then Karika here, all of her exclusives essentially. Her teleport, her self-teleport, her AoE, and then her long-range cannon. I did stick with Fairy Spirit Prophets, which, to be honest, I don't really need to actually use, but I guess, I don't know why I have those picked. Probably just as a default for attacking, just in case. As for our opponent, D-Hart here does have the Oath of Karma, as well as Light of Hope, so he does have the Origin faction buff. He does have his 3C, of course. So he doesn't actually have Strike, which is a bit surprising. Strike would give him 3 additional range with it, as well as a self-buff attack. So that actually makes him far less dangerous. We do have Light of Genesis here, who can be buffed by D-Hart. Does have Teleport, Holy Light, and 3C, so kind of a standard offense kit here. Really, it's going to come down to when and where Light of Genesis uses the teleport. Most likely, it'll probably be on D-Hart. Ironblood Commander, full offense. Yeah, just a full offense kit here. Which is actually kind of strange. Yeah, it's actually kind of strange because Ironblood Commander is not Princess nor Origin, so she can't be buffed. So my only guess is the purpose for her is just to give additional mobility, possibly, but I'm pretty sure that's not even the case. Christiane with Phalanxes has Defense Command, of all things. 3C and then Floral Realm. And then Sissy White does have Inspired, pretty much similar kit, but she has Sorceresses, probably for just some additional offense. Or it just happens to be their trained troops. This is, yeah, it's honestly a weird box, and the name is weird, and it's a Season 7 veteran, so I'm not even sure what to think here. So for right now, it's really going to come... I am first player, so I do have initiative in most cases. As long as Sissy White here doesn't actually get an act again. Which, I guess something to note here is Sissy White only got 1 coin. So... yeah, their Sissy White is not... I don't remember if it's 5 or 6 stars that gets 2 coins. But yeah, she's on a max stars, so that's something to note. She also doesn't have the... She actually may have the exclusive, because I did hear the sound twice. In any case, I go ahead and teleport, and I actually teleport back, just in case. And I'm just going to hang out here and build up stacks. So, throw up Grin Shield. I was pretty confident that she could tank a hit from D-Hard if necessary. D-Hard, yeah, my opponent's playing pretty cautiously. Just staying in the cross formation, staying back. Go ahead and do the 1-cost 3C, which just gives the kind of randomized buffs. And then I go ahead and throw up this to get as much attack and defense bonuses as possible, essentially. So right now I have an additional 6 range. Yeah, I have additional 6 range. Brilliant Flash goes out 3 blocks. So if I go here, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm right now 2. I'm just 2 range out. Karika's stacks can go up to 8, which means I could be in range after next round. Though I don't exactly want to wait that long. D-Hard doesn't actually have a lot of defense, and his HP is actually not that high, so I'm pretty confident I can snipe with Brilliant Flash. Light of Genesis is definitely definitely a nukeable. Ironblood Commander, I think, is also pretty nukeable. Yeah, pretty much everyone except for the tank I can probably nuke right now, if I were in range. So, Endurance Formation, something you don't see too often. You usually use Ironblood Commander for mobility. So yeah, this defensive formation gives Endure, which makes soldiers have increased defense and magic defense, which doesn't really help, honestly. So again, I'm just passing turns, just seeing what my opponent will do. Go ahead and get rid of my Efflusion stacks while I'm at it, which my opponent is mimicking me. Copycat. So yeah, just passing turns. My opponent's doing the same thing. And then here comes the teleport. So act again on the Light of Genesis, but Light of Genesis is not in range to do anything. So yeah, with this, he is right in range to try to assassinate somebody. He can actually I think he can potentially assassinate someone through Shrine Maidens, just simply because he can do physical damage. Or sorry, the Shrine Maidens only reduce physical damage, so the Fairy Spirit Prophets can potentially cause issues. But this also means you're well within my range, so I had to shoot from the edge of range here, and yeah, 21,000 damage, which is enough to kill. So at this point, my opponent kind of panics a little bit and immediately summons to ensure the cross formation stays intact. So yeah, I'm like, alright, well, I don't really need to do any act agains or anything. I can just wait. Nope, no reason for me to push forward. So my opponent pushes forward at this point. So I'm like, alright, sure, I can match you. And then, so here's the situation here. I can already negate guard. with the shield on Christiane, and then I could kill Artogenesis. The concern I have is Ironblood Commander, which honestly shouldn't have been as huge of a concern because she doesn't even have an attack buff. But I'm pretty sure that 3C could potentially still kill Grinshield, maybe, since it's a lot of magic damage. So for right now, I'm just like, alright, let's see what you do. If Sissy White moves up, the plan is thwarted. I won't be able to actually negate guard, in which case I would just hang back and wait for Karika just to nuke everything. So for right now, I'm just waiting to see what my opponent does, and this happens. So yeah, I was waiting to see if my opponent would move Ironblood Commander, which they did, which means that's it. Sissy White only has 4 coins, so she doesn't actually have enough for an act again. She can actually, sorry, she can get enough for an act again if she sacrifices this Elite Mercenary. So I go ahead and do this in Air Slash. And my opponent runs away at this point. So yeah, I think potentially my opponent could have act again on. I don't remember the range of the act again, but could potentially have sacrificed the troop, act again on Ironblood Commander, and gone from there, and maybe gotten a kill on Grinshield. My plan, of course, was try to eventually move my Sissy White in to act again my Grinshield, and then see if I can finish off the Ironblood Commander. So either way, it was pretty messy. And yeah, so far was pretty happy with how the battles went, mainly because I got to fight some kind of interesting boxes. I will talk about the 2 losses I did have. I did have 3 wins, 2 losses, so that puts me at Silver 1, which I'm fine with. I do want to get to Gold 3 because there is the Lisa skin here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I did lose 2 times. I lost against 7 Heaven Monster here. This fight, I actually got to see how much damage a unbuffed Pyrotest could do, and it was actually pretty good. I almost killed, I almost 3C'd a Werner from full HP, and the only reason he survived barely was because of the Wind Guard from his armor, which unfortunately that 30% came in and bit me. I think even if I had gotten killed, though, I don't think I would have won that match. My opponent just outmaneuvered me, and I was still not. I still didn't wrap my head around what I can do with with Rush from Florentia on some of my units, because the buff that you get goes up to 5 mobility, based off your unbuffed mobility. So for characters like Sherry, who has a base movement of 4 and then goes up to 6 because we're passive, you can actually give her +1 movement with Rush, which is something I haven't really been taking advantage of. And then the other loss was on the last fight. This one, my opponent was very, very patient, staying just out of range of Sylvaria, and my opponent just simply had much higher mobility, and I just couldn't win the trades. The other thing, the other thing that both matches where I lost happened. I let my opponent have Sword and Light and Shadow, and I really need to stop letting my opponent have Sword and Light and Shadow, because that's Sword and Light and Shadow is a problem. Once she gets in range, she just kind of causes havoc. The other issue I made, I don't know if it was. It might have been in this match as well, but another issue was I was using Angels on Christiane, thinking my opponent was more magic than physical, and really that was not entirely the case. But in most of these cases, I got to see units I didn't usually see too often, so I wasn't too bothered by it. 3 out of 5 matches was more than I expected, so I was definitely happy about that. As for other characters, I was going to mention some of the other characters I could mess around with as far as guard bypassing. We have Illustrial. Illustrial is really, really strong, but her guard bypass only works if she's in grassland, forest, or mountains. And there's maps where literally there are none. There's that map with the ship in the middle. There's the area with all the lava that's going to be in circulation now. She's just not reliable enough for me to take advantage of. I do really want to throw her in, but I don't have room for her, and she's just there are maps where she's literally completely negated. If there are more ways to make terrain into forest, which I do have, characters like Moo can actually do. If there are more easier ways to make that happen, I think I would use her more often because honestly, she's a really fun character. Let's see. Marielle, of course, can guard bypass, but she's just really fragile. Like even while attacking, she tends to take a lot of counterattack damage, and then it makes it really hard for her to actually do a follow up. Like she has to slam against a tank to actually take full advantage of it. And she also doesn't get, even if it's against a non-tank box, her double tap is just kind of lacking. And then overall, she just doesn't have enough mobility to really make it worthwhile. The fact that she provides a lot of passive healing and stuff can be useful, but as you can see, most of our opponents tend to just one-shot. Obviously, Pet Seer is always fun, but Pet Seer can only guard bypass on male targets. There's some characters I can try to use to get more mobility, but I'm not that comfortable using them, like Akaya and Polyol. Tsubame, I really would love if Tsubame was actually good, but now that there's so much like passive AoE and outside damage, it's just impossible to keep her stealth up and reliable. And a lot of characters have so much high mobility and act agains and move agains that they can, in some cases, just move next to her, disable her stealth, and then kill her. And that's just kind of unfortunate for her because she's a fun character. Also, a lot of her benefits for her assassination stuff kind of revolves around standard tank setups, which generally is not a thing anymore. I would love to use Move for teleports, but again, same issue as Illustrial. Speaking of this character, Azusa was the character on the last match that I lost, which made things a lot more difficult because she can do both magic and physical, so she just did physical damage instead and just murdered me in one shot. My opponent just simply had higher mobility and more tank busters. Shalinka is a character I would love to actually make work, but it just doesn't happen. I just cannot make it work. A lot of her guard bypasses require specific setups. Also, her ability to do only direct damage to the general really relies on a very condensed setup. I think if you were able to get a situation where you had both Shalinka and Grin Shield together, that can actually be pretty fun to mess around with because they have to stay close together to negate the shield, and then Shalinka would be able to take advantage. And then, obviously, if they spread her out to ensure Shalinka doesn't get the benefits, then I could throw shields. Problem is I don't know why, but she just doesn't do as much damage as I would like. Her troop choices are also kind of limited, I feel like, though Giant Zombie's not too shabby. The other thing that's also bad about Shalinka, and I guess same thing for Illustrial and some of the other in Marielle, is also the factions. It's not easy to buff them. Other assassins that I did not take, Lisa. She's a character I would love to try out, but she's just not strong enough, really. That's pretty much the gist of it. She's also terrain specific as far as her talent is concerned, so that's another issue. Besides that, I think that's all my assassins that I didn't take. Oh, of course. Zerda. I was tempted to take Zerda because obviously Meteor faction buff, but beyond that, since she's juggling both the Meteor faction buff and setting up Heart of Alizard, she's really, really slow on setting up, and you don't really want to be slow as an assassin anymore. Also, she just tends to not get kills anymore. She for whatever reason, she can't assassinate like Silvaria can. And yeah, that's kind of all the other assassins I had available. I think that's kind of the gist of it. There's some other characters you can do some interesting things with, like Angelina with the Breath of the Tides. But since Hilda exists, and the fact that everything's bulkier now, I don't trust her to actually get kill anymore. So that's also another thing to take in consideration. Also, I guess technically, I think Renata can also bypass guard, but it's also requires setting up the Vengeful Dragon Seal and all that nonsense, which is just not something you can easily set up in most cases. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I'm going to be sticking with this box. I may tweak it here and there, but for the most part, this is probably what we're going to be going with. Also, I didn't even mention Narm. Narm technically can guard bypass against flyers, but that's ultra specific. So yeah, that is the gist of it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Prestior. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 15. I'll see you guys next time.